Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on the Daily Racing Form YouTube. I'm Gino Buccola alongside Mailloux with producer Lucia helping us out as we head over to Tampa Bay Downs. Going to preview a couple of stakes races for them coming up this weekend. Ashley, we're going to start in race number 2. It's going to be the inaugural stakes on Saturday, December the 6th. 6 furlongs the distance here. And before the morning line is out, you and I are taking a look at this, and I just say that if Solitude Dude comes back close to that 86 buyer that he debuted with, they're probably all running for second in here.
Yeah, that's what it certainly feels like, and you start to think kind of this is the starting point, right? The inaugural. There's races such as the Pasco, the Sam F. Davis, Tampa Bay Derby. This is kind of one of their last chances as a 2-year-old to make an impression. And yeah, I mean, in terms of a buyer speed figure standpoint, the horse is a standout. Also, we'll talk about it a little bit later. Visually is a standout, but we'll see. In terms of the time of the race, I don't necessarily think I was enamored by the time early. I mean, they still did go 46 to the half. So there's others in here. They come out of, races that aren't too far off of that. So we'll see what happens.
Let's see what Timeform US thinks about this race as far as the pace projector is concerned. They've got Solitude Dude up front. What I think I like about him in this spot too, Ashley, is that the outside draw could really be helpful for him. He may not get forced as much when you're down inside of horses. He can kind of get out of the gate, take a look over, see what some of the foes to the inside are doing, and then make a decision. But as is the case with 2-year-olds in sprint races like this, a lot of times the pace is going to be pretty honest.
Yeah, I would say so, especially kind of looking at this field overall. I think the pace projector has it tabbed right. Obviously, we talked about Solitude Dude, max capacity Langva in terms of the inside. Look at their last efforts, or in the case of max capacity, is a little bit more race day experience. Look at 4 out of his 5 efforts. Take out the synthetic race at Presque Isle. He's a very forward type. So I have a feeling the pace will be honest here. And I think that's going to be a test on some of these horses, especially the inside, that sometimes when they've been pressed, they've had to really work for that victory. And sometimes it's been at the distance or shorter.
Let's meet the field for the inaugural $125,000 up for grabs for this stakes race on Saturday at Tampa Bay Downs. We start things out with max capacity. 2 wins, both win on the lead. Didn't really fire in the slop last time out. Feels like a pace factor from the inside. Speed, then fade last time out. He did lose to a horse named Balboa, who was at one time a Bob Baffert trainee. What do you think about the speed of max capacity down inside?
Yeah, it could be an asset for him. It could work against him. I think out of all of his races, the race that most of us will like the most, and at least myself I do, is the race at Laurel 2 back. I know it was just going 5.5, but he ended up going to the front and he stayed in front quite easily, where I know he wins on debut at Colonial. It sounds really bad to say it this way. I don't care. Colonial speed favoring the number was really light. I want to see what he's done since then. So it's sort of been a little bit of a mixed result as we've talked about in terms of his stakes races. But the race at Laurel was good last time out. I don't know what the excuse was. Maybe he didn't like an off track, but he was also pressed. So that's my concern with him in some regard. If he's pressed again, what are his chances of sticking around? I'm not sure that they're that good.
One of the 2 Safi Joseph Jr. trainees is Longvad. I'm going to say that this is named after the 5-time world champ mountain bike racer, Annika Longvad, but I'm not positive. I'm just going to say that here, Ashley. This one comes off of a victory against Florida Breds on November the 8th at Gulfstream Park. I liked how he was able to cross over from the outside to the 2 path, battled for the lead, put away that other speed. Then he had to deal with the challenge from off the pace, wins ahead, Bob. Just felt like this was a really educational type race for a horse who had to deal with other early speed there, put that horse away, then have to hold off one from off the pace. So not sure if his speed figure, if he's quite as good as the rest of this field, but I think he learned a lot from that day, from that second start breaking his maiden.
Yeah, and I actually think his debut was fine. It wasn't
Yeah.
against the Florida Breds, right? It was an open maiden special weight. He closed from off of it, might have needed distance. He showed a little bit more speed, obviously, going second time out and on the stretch out. But I like both of his efforts. I think he needs a buyer boost. We'll see if it ends up happening here. But I think there are things to like about him. And I'm going to go against you. I have wishful thinking. I have a feeling he might be named after one of Safi Joseph Jr.'s assistants, Sabina Longvad.
There we go.
So that's just my wishful thinking.
You know better than me. See, I'm looking things up. You actually know the actual people around the
We'll see.
operation. Yeah. The number 3, Thunder Chuck. Stakes place, comes off of a pretty good runner-up effort last time out. Actually, I think when you dive into the form here, this is a horse who hasn't done a lot wrong overall in the 4 races. You can see the sprint debut is pretty good, a runner-up effort, comes back into second, breaks the maiden at Monmouth Park. Then in the Saratoga Special, I think you put a line right through that. This horse may have been just in a little tough there. Came back and ran really well at Gulfstream Park on November 22nd that day. I thought got kind of shuffled a little bit down on the inside. That was a solid effort from that one. And so looking at the overall body of work, I thought that's not bad for Thunder Chuck.
No, I actually think there's some upside here. Second time out for this Son of Good Magic off a little bit of a freshening. I thought he ran fine. You're seeing his best buyer coming into this race, and one that I think has taken those little steps forward. I'm not going to read into the Saratoga Special. It's a 4-horse field. I don't want anything to do with it in terms of assessing him, but I do look at his other races, and I like that in 2 of them. While they haven't been his wins, Gino, he's been able to sit and make a run. And I just felt like when we looked at maybe the inside 2, or at least the rail runner, they're going to go. The outside's going to go. I think Thunder Chuck could be in a good position, and that could be similar to maybe the next horse we're going to talk about as well.
This was the horse I probably had the toughest time with in the field, Ashley Superkick, because Superkick's debut at Ellis on the turf, a little bit of speed, doesn't really show a whole lot that day, but comes back and when breaking the maiden at Churchill Downs, that's one of the better races that anyone's run in the field, but didn't really follow that up at Keeneland when having to face better in a stakes race last time out and was well defeated. So you haven't really seen a whole lot of consistency in 3 starts, but you know there is a really good effort in there. What do we do with Superkick?
Well, I think it's the same thing. If you're going to give, Thunder Chuck a pass on the Saratoga Special, I would do that with the Bowman Mill. Okay, it's not a graded stakes race. That's fine. But I actually think when you look at the winner of the race, Gallivant, I think is going to be a very nice horse for Ellen J. Foxwood and Benny Colebrook, based on what we saw. And I know horse only finished 4th in the following outing. But I go back to the race 2 back. In comparison to some of the races that we saw at Churchill during the fall meet, thought it was a good time for the race. All in all, I feel like at the beginning of this, kind of short fall meet at Churchill, he saw some slow times, especially opening weekend. That wasn't the case, and this horse just sort of dusted the field and made it look really easy in the end. So tough read, but I think if you're really focusing in on the maiden special weight effort, you have to think he has a shot.
Coming over from Presque Isle Downs is Go Simple. This one will try the dirt for the first time. Dam did win twice on the dirt. Can you get a feel for where he may stack up coming over from the synthetic surface?
No, it's really tough for me to read. I mean, obviously the pedigree suggests he'll be fine. The breeze 2 back suggests he'll be just fine, 47-3 locally at Tampa. But he's had a little bit of a, time off in comparison to the others. Don't necessarily love that, especially trying the new surface. And you look at his 2 best performances, he's been forward. I will see how quick he is once he gets some of the dirt and translates that. He could be maybe sitting just off of it and pressing the situation. But for me, he's a pass.
Undertaker was one of my favorite wrestlers growing up, Ashley, but I don't know if I can make a case for Undertaker in this one. He's 0 for 5, hasn't hit the board, and they've tried some different things with him too, right? He's been on turf, he's been on dirt, he's gone from 6 furlongs all the way up to a mile, different tracks, Horseshoe Indy, Keeneland, Colonial. Maybe you can get a choke slam or a last ride. Maybe they could put him in the body bag, but I couldn't get there, Ashley, with Undertaker. How about you?
Yeah, no, you would have loved to see an in the money finish, right? We just don't have that at this point. And there's just, to me, there's an exploration period that's been going on. Let's try the turf. Let's try sprinting. Let's try routing at Horseshoe Indianapolis. He's only raced, at 3 tracks. He just hasn't shown anything for me, so I'm going to have to go elsewhere.
Rounding out the field is Solitude Dude. That career debut was very good on November the 1st at Gulfstream Park. He had inside speed. There was some pressure to his outside. He put away a pace rival. He opened up with ease. We're going to see him here, Ashley, winning by 9+ lengths, earning that 86 buyer speed figure in the debut. Now, that race will win this. But we've seen this many times with horses who are good, precocious, fast early. You come out of the box and you run a race that big with a big speed figure. Sometimes it's hard to step forward off of that and you can only regress a little. Now, this isn't like 100 or even like a high 90. So 86 is one of those numbers where you could actually probably come back and meet that or maybe even move forward. But that is still a very high figure first time out of the box for a maiden. So that would be my concern and other speed in here. But just based on that lone race, he seems like he's got some real ability.
Yeah, and I think there's also the visual component. I think sometimes we see things we don't necessarily trust them. It looked pretty easy for him all in all when it was said and done. So now he does have to go to Tampa, try a little bit of a different surface, but he seems to me, at least from a workout tab, was working well into that race, working well out of that race. So we talk about it. Is there the bounce factor? Sure, there is. But I think kind of looking at even if he takes a step backward, what if it's slightly Gino? I still think based on that debut, he's probably better than the rest of the field.
And at this point early on in the career, like he's only run once. We don't know if he's a need the lead type. He could be fine sitting off horses from the outside if a couple others go. So yeah, he just looks like he has so much upside as we round things out here, Ashley. We'd always love to hear from all of you out there. Give us selections, comments. Let us know if you've looked things up about a world biking champion. That doesn't really matter anymore because Ashley told me I was wrong. Solitude Dude is going to be where we both end up, right, Ashley?
I don't know if we're either of us are right or wrong about the name, but we're both on the same top 4 here. So we're trending in the right direction. I mean, Solitude Dude, we talked about it. There is the bounce factor. There's also the thing to consider. He's going to be an extremely short price in here. So I think, think about how you want to wager on the race. I honestly probably won't play this race straight up, but I do know that a pick 4 starts here. And maybe that's where you use Solitude Dude and you look at your others. I think for me, at least, Gino, the 3, 4, and the 2, pretty even. And so maybe I'll kind of look at the wagering board before I punch a pick 4 ticket and decide, do I want to go too deep here? Who's the other horse?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's how I'll probably play this race too. One of those horses might float up a little bit and you could get some value. So maybe that's where you try to find that value and you can connect Solitude Dude along with one of those others that you like a bit more. For Ashley, 7-4-3-2. For me, very similar, 7-3-4-2. Whoever you play, however you play them, we wish you the best of luck.